To create an implement then is I come to the second button down, picture with the satellite on, press that once, press it again, and it brings me then through to my Varia Guide menu page. If I go to the second option down with the tractor with the black bar on, click onto there, and it brings me through then to my implement manager. Now from this page here is I can select if I have already stored any front or rear implements in there. So at the moment it's saying no implement, but if I tap in these boxes then I can choose as to anything that is stored. So here we've got a front press in there, so I could select that one and add the front press, or conversely if I have no implement to go on there, is just make sure then that the no implement box is selected. Now to create an all new implement then is if we hit the plus button up the top there, it asks us then as to whether we are front or rear mounted. I'm going to say that we're rear mounted in this example. It then asks me as the hitching types whether we are fully mounted on the 3-point linkage, whether we're a 3-point semi-mounted machine, or then as to whether we're on the drawbar, the clevis, or like a K80 ball coupling type hitch in there. But I'll leave it as hitch mounted, 3-point hitch mounted. We'll label up our implements. We'll have a set of discs on there. Now it's a good thing to get into the habit of straight away, as soon as we created our implement, is flick this switch over into auto. If we leave it in the on position as it defaults into, we'll always end up with our coverage mapping being painted. So I'll have like either a green or a blue line always following the tractor. So out of the shed, round to the diesel tank, and then across on the road to the field. So if we switch it over into auto, it stops it from always painting in wherever we drive, and then we can select a trigger that's going to activate the mapping. I can, if I want to, if I've made a mistake, and that's the fact it was I'm coupling onto the drawbar, say for argument's sake, is I can change my hitching type, but we'll leave it as a 3-point hitch mounted at the moment. And then we've got these 3 boxes here on the screen, and the most important one here is our working width in here. And it's always good then to get into the habit of measuring everything. So in my example, I'm going to say that I've got a 3 meter set of discs on there, but I don't just want to take for granted that it is working 3 meters of soil all the time, because whilst the rear roller will be 3 meters, my working elements of the disc might actually only be moving, say for argument's sake, 2.9 meters worth of soil. So if I put in 3 meters, already I'm working 10 centimeters less soil. And when I come back on myself, come back the other way, again I'm missing 10 centimeters, and therefore I'll end up with a 20 centimeter strip then of unworked soil. So as I said then, is really get into the habit of measuring everything. What is a cultivator physically moving soil wise? What is a drill physically drilling to? So measure from one outside coulter right across the drill to the other outside coulter on there to get the drilling width there. But then also remember to add on then half a coulter width as well to that measurement. Because if, say, for argument's sake, those coulters measured across at 5.9 meters, say for argument's sake, and I then put in the working width of 5.9 meters, what would happen then is when I come back down the field is I'd actually be lining one coulter directly straight on to the previous pass. So we need to add in then half a coulter width as well then to get everything evenly spaced. But in my example then, is I'm lucky I've got a cultivator is working 3 meters. So if I tap in then that I've got 3 meters on there, and I've set my working width. Now what we end up with here is this center distance figure, and that is always then the half working width of the of our figure down here, so at 1.5 meters. So if obviously I had a 4 meter set of discs on the machine, then that figure then would automatically be set to 2 meters. Now this figure here is also quite important as well. If we've got a machine that is crabbing, so pulling one way or the other, is not pulling true behind the tractor, is don't get tempted as altering this figure here, is alter the center distance figure up here. So if it's pulling to the left or to the right, is we need to alter this one by either increasing or decreasing it. So at the moment, if I come back to my guidance page, and we can just about see then is our implement on the back of the tractor in the black bar there. Is if I come back then to my guidance page, and then I go to edit my implement. If I alter this center distance, so I'm going to put it in a silly figure. So I'm going to say that it's move that to 3 meters. If I then come back to my guidance page, is you can see now the implement bar has shifted out to the right hand side on there. So if we go back then to the mapping page, if I alter that the other way, so I'll put that down at say 1 meter, and then go back to our guidance page, as you can see now the implement bar has shifted to the left hand side. And so that's playing about that center distance. Then that will counteract any crabbing of the implement. The next figure down here is from the link arms to the worked element of the machine. So it sets effectively how far back that implement bar sits from the tractor. So if I've measured my discs, and I've got to the center of the disc elements, then was, say for argument's sake, was 2 meters in there. Put that figure in. If I go back to my screen, you can see now that the implement bar then has been moved 2 meters back from the tractor. And that just means then that if we're looking at trying to be accurate with clocking up an area, then, or we're utilizing some of the other automatic features on there, such as triggering the headland sequence automatically, is by having this distance set correctly in here certainly then helps maintain and keep everything clocking up and working as accurately as it possibly could do. If I was to set this then to be a trailed, whether it be 3-point or on the drawbar, so we'll put it down to the drawbar, is you can see we've now got an extra box here with a steering wheel. And this then is from the coupling type, so from the drawbar to the pivot point of the machine. And again, if I'm following a contoured way line, so I'm trying to follow the curves around the field or around the headland, then this figure is important for knowing how far the tractor needs to drive offline to keep the implement online. So again, it might be that there'd be the same figure as what we've got here, but ultimately is we want to be measuring to the center of the machine or to the steered element of this. If that was say like a trail drill, is I'd be setting that figure actually to the middle of the coulters. So if I've got say 2 rows of coulters on the drill or 3 rows of coulters, I'll be going to the middle of that figure there. And I could sort of say, for instance, yeah, that was 2 meters in this example on that one, and it just helps then keep the tractor and the implement, more importantly, online. Now we've got an extra box up here where it's asking whether we're a steered or a rigid axle. So steered axle would obviously mean then it would say if we had like a trailed sprayer with a steering axle, whereas for something like a drill, then we'd say we'd have a rigid axle. Now, because I've got it set in auto for the coverage mapping, is I want to be selecting my trigger as to when the mapping will start. So that could be quite simply is activating it with a linkage, rear linkage dropping down. It could be engaging of the PTO. It could be a spool valve, and then over here is I'd select what spool valve is going to be that I'm using to trigger. So it might be the red spool valve here, and then I'm saying, well, what do I want? How's it going to start? So is it going to be pressurizing, so lifting it up, well, no. So like I said, it's either going to be powering down or knocking that spool valve into float. We'll start the mapping, and again, as to how it's going to stop on the mapping there. So it could be that pressurizing it, again powering down, float, or deactivating of the spool altogether. We'll leave it as powering up, and that would stop the mapping. The next one down then is using some form of external contact switch, which would plug up into the in the cab roof there from the implement. Or it could be that when I engage my auto steer, once I'm on the line and I press to go into auto steer, that's what's going to be triggering my my mapping.